Hello, my name is Devin, and in this lab I'm going to show how to create and configure and deploy a virtual machine in Microsoft Azure using a free trial account. I'll walk through setting up the VM, connecting it with remote desktop, and then shutting it down safely so we don't use up any free credits. This lab demonstrates basic cloud compute setup, which is one of the core skills covered in the AZ-900 Azure Fundamentals certification. Okay, so before we jump in, I'm going to assume a few things. First is that you are signed into your Azure account and you're on your Azure home dashboard because you must access the Azure portal to create and manage your cloud resources. Next, I'm going to assume that you verified your free trial subscription and that it's enabled. Azure resources like VMs can't exist without an active enabled subscription, in this case, the free one. Next, I'm going to assume that your workspace is already created. So we've already created a resource group. A resource group is like a folder that keeps all related resources like VMs, networks, and disks organized and easy to delete later. So make sure you have all that set up, and then we'll dive in. All right, so there's a few ways you can start creating your virtual machine. You can go to the search bar and search virtual machines, and it'll pop up there. Or you could go down to the bottom of your portal home screen dashboard in the services and click virtual machines. Next, you want to hit create button and then create virtual machine. All right, so under subscription, it should already default have your free subscription there. Next, under your resource group, select the resource group that you want to use. Then give your virtual machine a name. So I called this one VM-lab-01. For region, I found the one that worked for me was East US 2. You might have to trial and error, try this a few times to get the one that works correctly. For zones, availability zone, I found the one that worked for me was zone 2. Next, for the image, I chose the Windows 2022 server, the Data Center Azure Edition x64 Gen 2, the free services. Next is going to be your size. So if standard B1 free service eligible isn't there, you want to click See All Sizes and then select the B series and then the B1S free services eligible and then hit select. Next, you're going to create a username and password, and this is what you'll use to log in remotely. Make sure to save a copy of your password somewhere, like maybe in a text document. For now, this is just for test purposes. And then your inbound ports, make sure allow selected ports is selected, and then RDP 3389 is selected. That's the Microsoft remote desktop one. And then click Next. So in the disk tab section, go to OS disk type and select standard SSD. The SSD gives better for performance and still qualifies for the free tier. Leave everything else the way it is and then click Next on the networking tab. Now in the networking tab, you're going to create new where it says virtual network and you're going to name it. I named mine VNet-lab. Now all the address space and subnets, you're just going to leave that the way it is and click OK. And all the other settings, you're just going to leave the way they are. For example, the RDP 3389, just leave that the way it is. And then when you're ready, move on to the next management tab. Now for the next few tabs, you're basically just going to leave all of the default settings as they are. For management, for monitoring, and also for the advanced tab and also the tags tab as well. And once you're through that, you're ready to review and create. Next, it's going to run final validation. And once that validation is passed, you can click create. If you want, you can double check all your settings, but they should be fine if we follow the steps correctly. All right, so your deployment's going to initialize, and it's going to submit deployment. And basically, we're just going to wait till the deployment is done. All right, so once the deployment is finished, you can click Go to Resource. Now, you can do it a couple ways. You can click in the notifications section or in the overview area here on the bottom left. Next, you want to keep a note of your public IP just so we can check our remote desktop settings later. And now we're going to connect. So first you have to click Connect in the overview section and then scroll down and you're going to see a button that says Download RDP file. Now that RDP file is a remote desktop protocol connection file that Azure automatically generates for you. Think of it as a shortcut that tells your computer exactly how to connect to your virtual machine. It contains your public IP address and the port number 3389 for remote desktop protocol and some connection settings. So when you double click that file, it launches the remote desktop connection app built right into Windows, and it opens the VM login window for you. So when you're prompted, enter the username and password you saved from earlier, then click OK. Then you'll be notified with a certificate warning. And what you can do is you can click Yes. The RDP file is a secure shortcut for connecting to your VM. The certificate warning appears because Azure uses a self-assigned certificate. It's safe since you initiated the connection and it wasn't done by anyone else. Next, you can just wait a few seconds until you see the Windows Server desktop. It'll open up in its own window, probably full screen at first. Now, to confirm it's working, you can move the mouse around and even open the start menu in your new virtual machine. Now what this does is if there's a successful connection, this proves that your VM was deployed, it was networked properly, and it's reachable securely. All right, next up, we're going to disconnect safely, stop the virtual machine, and delete the resources just so we can start again clean next time. To disconnect safely, inside the VM window, click Start, Power, Disconnect, or you could just close the virtual machine window. This gracefully ends your session so Windows finalizes tasks before shutting down. Next, we're going to stop the virtual machine. So go back to your Azure portal, your main dashboard there in Azure. Go to Virtual Machine Overview, then click Stop. You're going to wait for the status to show that it's stopped. Azure only bills while a virtual machine is running, so stopped or deallocated means the compute costs have ended. Next, just so we can start clean next time, we're going to go into the virtual machine overview and then click delete to remove the virtual machine. If you want, you can actually delete your resource group to clean up everything at once. Deleting prevents storage or IP charges and keeps your portal organized. And I would also recommend deleting the RDP file that you downloaded, or you can keep it safely for reuse. It contains connection details to your VM, so deleting it actually reduces the risk of others using that PC. So I would recommend deleting it. That wraps up my Azure Virtual Machine Lab. So what did we do? We created a Windows Server VM, connected through remote desktop, and then safely shut it down to stop any billing. This exercise helped me understand how Azure Compute works and how to manage resources responsibly using the free trial. And I hope it helped you as well. All right, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.